Nightmare scenario for thousands of so-called dreamers here in the U.S.
Yeah, President Trump has ordered an end to DACA and hands it over now to Congress to save or scrap the program. KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan begins our team coverage tonight with what is next. So, Dave, what is next?
Could be a long and winding road ahead on this issue. It's far from over. The battle over DACA is a long way from being completed tonight. In fact, in some ways, it may be just beginning. From the federal courts to the halls of Congress, this issue will be argued as part of a larger immigration reform request from President Trump, who left it in the hands of Congress to decide the fate of the DACA dreamers.
I have a love for these people, and hopefully now Congress will be able to help them and do it properly. And I can tell you, in speaking to members of Congress, they want to be able to do something and do it right.
In what may turn out to be a political magic act, President Trump carried out a campaign promise to dismantle DACA, one of the most important Obama immigration programs, and dumped the unsolvable immigration issues squarely in the lap of Congress. And he didn't even have to make the announcement.
The program known as DACA that was effectuated under the Obama administration is being rescinded.
The decision means the Department of Homeland Security will stop processing all new DACA applications after Tuesday, though applications received by Tuesday will still be processed. And Homeland Security will renew work permits for anyone whose status expires by March 5th. If nothing has been done by March 5th, thousands of DACA recipients will then begin losing legal status during 2018. But in handing off DACA to Congress, the clock is running. Only 6 months to do what Congress has been unable to do for the past 20 years. Pass meaningful immigration reform, including DACA, or as Senator Lindsey Graham framed it,
the Congress is going to have to up its game.
But the reason Congress has not been able to move on immigration reform is because there are deep and bitter divisions on Capitol Hill on issues like DACA and the Dreamers, as demonstrated by these two representatives from Southern California.
These people are doctors, our teachers, our neighbors.
And we should not be attacking the President of the United States for standing up for our own young people, rather than trying to bring in massive flood of illegal immigrant children into our society and pay for their education and their health care, etc.
Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan was careful to express hope, but not confidence, that Congress will be able to find consensus so that those who have done nothing wrong, he said, can still contribute as a valued part of this great country.
We are now in a countdown toward deportation.
Illinois Democrat Senator Dick Durbin and Republican Lindsey Graham say the answer is a bill they call the DREAM Act, which would allow immigrant students to apply for legal status and eventually to gain citizenship if they go to college or serve in the military.
They have no other country other than America. They're no more connected to their home country than I am to Scotland, where my grandfather came from.
The bill has absolutely no chance of passing the Republican-dominated House, and even Durbin acknowledges that the time frame for passage makes it an extreme long shot.
Let me say a word about the 6 months. Calculation of 6 months is to March 5th, so we have plenty of time, right? Not by Senate standards, we don't.
Now, to complicate things even further, it appears President Trump wants to make a deal for something in exchange for a DACA reform bill, like funding for building his border wall, which the White House press secretary didn't deny when asked about it.
I don't think that the president's been shy about the fact that he wants a wall, and certainly something that he feels is an important part of a responsible immigration reform package.
California Congressman John Garamendi told CNN's Wolf Blitzer he has no doubt about it.
It's a deal. The president has structured a deal, put 800,000 men and women, young dreamers, on the line in exchange for his border wall. That's what this is all about. I think it's a bad deal. The president didn't need to do anything. This is going to go through the courts to determine the constitutionality.
At the end of the day, President Trump tweeted, Congress now has 6 months to legalize DACA, something the Obama administration was unable to do. If they can't, I will revisit this issue! Exclamation point. And now the California Attorney General, a former Democratic member of Congress, says he's prepared to sue the Trump administration over the decision to close down the DACA program. And he says some other states may join in.
We're going to take a look at every aspect of what the president is now ordering, and we'll try to make a decision in every particular way of how we defend these individuals, because they stepped forward. They did what we always ask people to do. and they did it the right way. And no one should be treated this way by their federal government, especially when the commander-in-chief has said that he would treat this issue with heart.
Now, CBS News Justice reporter Paula Reed says it appears likely a DACA lawsuit against the Trump administration would wind up in federal court and very well could ultimately be decided by the Supreme Court. She reported the court was divided last year on a similar immigration case about another Obama immigration program. But with the conservative majority now back in charge at the Supreme Court again, the chances of the California lawsuit succeeding at that level are considerably diminished. Lena, back to you.